I'm Ashley, 30 years old, and this is the story of how I became entangled in a web of deceit and betrayal. Yet, it's also a testament to my strength, overcoming manipulation and injustice, and securing my own sense of justice against both my husband and mother-in-law. I met Donald, my husband, a man who seemed full of charm and charisma, captivated by his loving words and promises of a blissful future. We fell in love quickly and got married, convinced that our love could weather any storm. But I could never have foreseen the dark turn our life together would take, or that the source of my deepest anguish would be his mother, Helen. From the beginning, Helen resented me, seeing me as an intruder in her son's life. She was the type of woman who would need psychological analysis to truly understand the depth of her issues, as her behavior spiraled into something toxic and unmanageable. For 6 long years, Donald funneled his entire salary to Helen, leaving our finances in tatters. The betrayal was devastating. And despite my constant pleas for him to stop, Donald always brushed me aside, insisting his mother came first. When we married, I was only 22, a naive young woman who believed that love would eventually open Donald's eyes. I now see how wrong I was. Fear kept me silent, unable to stand up to either him or Helen. They were a united front, their arrogance and selfishness a force of destruction that took me years to fully grasp. As time passed, the tension between Helen and me only worsened. At every opportunity, she belittled me, making it painfully clear that I was an outsider in her world. She treated me as though I should be grateful just to exist in her presence. Despite the emotional and verbal abuse, whenever I tried to speak to Donald about it, he would dismiss my concerns. His indifference hurt almost as much as the abuse itself. The real blow came when Donald lost his job. Helen wasted no time in evicting me from the house, coldly asserting that it belonged to her, even though Donald and I had lived there. Her actions crushed me, leaving me homeless and bewildered by the sheer malice of her behavior. When I asked how she could be so heartless, she smiled and said, "It's not about hate, darling, I just don't care about you. Donald can't support you anymore, and this house, it's always been mine." I was stunned. Helen's disdain was clearer than ever. When I tried to confront her, she laughed at my outrage, reminding me that I had no right to anything anymore. I left, vowing to tell Donald everything, hoping he'd finally see the truth. But when I called him, desperate for help, his response shattered me. "What's happening?" he asked, seemingly unaware of the storm brewing around us. I explained everything: Helen's eviction, the financial sacrifices I'd made, and the years of silent suffering I endured in the hope that he would change. But he still didn't get it. "If you keep talking about my mother like that," Donald snapped, "I'm not only going to keep sending her money, but you'll also need to drop this ridiculous delusion. She's my mother. I don't care what she did. And it's her house." "Are you serious?" I could barely believe what I was hearing. "You heard me. Pack your things and leave my mother's house." I felt like I was living in a nightmare. How could the man I married, the man I loved, speak to me like this? Was this some twisted version of love where defending your wife was optional? I returned to the house in silence. Helen was waiting, a smug look on her face, delighted by my impending departure. I bit my tongue, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. I quietly packed my things, resisting every urge to lash out. My heart was heavy with grief, anger, and confusion. What kind of mother-in-law would treat her daughter-in-law with such cruelty? I sought refuge with a friend, nursing my emotional wounds and piecing my life back together. But as the days passed, my sorrow turned into a fierce resolve. I couldn't let this injustice stand. Helen's actions couldn't go unanswered, and neither could Donald's betrayal. They would both face the consequences of what they had done. My friend was adamant that I couldn't let Helen's actions go unpunished. Her insistence fueled the fire inside me, pushing me to confront Helen once again. I found myself standing outside her house, my heart pounding with a mixture of nerves and resolve. This time, I wasn't just here to express my anger, I was here to make sure Helen faced the consequences of her cruelty. Stepping inside, a wave of memories flooded over me. This house, which had been the setting of so much pain and manipulation, would soon become a place of reckoning, a symbol of my strength. Helen appeared, her expression a mask of cold disdain. "What are you doing here, Ashley? You have no right to be in my house." "Oh, I think you'll find that I do," I replied, my voice steady. "Your actions brought me back here." She looked taken aback, clearly expecting me to remain silent and defeated. But Helen had miscalculated. She had no idea that I had finally found my voice. "You think you can just barge in here and take whatever you want? You're nothing but a parasite," she sneered. "No, Helen, I'm done playing the role you cast me in. I'm not the same person you could easily manipulate. I've grown stronger, and I'm here to claim what's rightfully mine. This house was built with my husband's money, our money, and now, it's time for me to take control. Helen's eyes narrowed. You really think you can outsmart me? I've been manipulating people my whole life. You don't stand a chance. Maybe manipulation is your game, but I've learned a thing or two. You underestimated me, and that was your biggest mistake. Today, the tables have turned. I'm not backing down. The air between us grew tense, heavy with the weight of everything left unsaid over the years. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was a battle of wills, a fight for my dignity, my future. Helen crossed her arms, her voice dripping with malice. You may have won this round, Ashley, but don't think this is over. I'll make sure you regret this. We'll see, I said calmly. I've lived under your shadow for too long, endured your abuse, but today I'm taking back my life. Your reign ends here. Have the day you think you deserve. With that, I turned and walked out of the house, leaving Helen standing there, speechless. It was a small victory, but it felt monumental. I had confronted my tormentor, faced down the source of so much suffering, and I hadn't crumbled. I was walking away with my head held high, free from her control. As I left, I noticed something that piqued my curiosity. 2 contractors were nailing a bright red auction sign to the front porch of Helen's house. I stopped, surprised. Was she really selling the house so suddenly? Why? Helen wasn't one to let go of her grip easily. Given her history of shady dealings, this move seemed suspicious. Concerned that she was trying to cover her tracks, I went straight to my friend and told her what I'd seen. She agreed. Something didn't sit right. A quick investigation confirmed my fears. The house was indeed being auctioned off the very next day. The timing was too convenient. It seemed Helen was scrambling, and I needed to act fast. The following morning, I came across the auction notice for Helen's house, a twist of fate that gave me the perfect chance to turn the tables. With new determination, I set my mind on a plan to stop the auction and expose whatever scheme Helen had up her sleeve. I was no longer just reacting to her cruelty. I was taking control of my future. I meticulously crafted my plan, diving deep into the housing market and calculating my maximum bid. I was ready to confront Helen. Little did she know that I had risen from the ashes of adversity, stronger and more resolute than ever. As I entered the auction room, my heart raced with a blend of nervousness and determination. But before I could fully step inside, I was confronted by the very people who had made my life miserable for the past 6 years. What are you doing here? Are you obsessed with this place? One of them scoffed. I told you to stay away from me. I'm still very upset with you, another added. Funny, because the feeling is mutual, I shot back, prompting gasps from both. I have just as much right to be here as anyone else. If you have a problem with that, take it up with the authorities after I file a harassment report. Do you really think you can win this house? That's a bit ambitious, don't you think? Should I evict her, Mom? No need, she's just trying to make a spectacle of herself. It's clear she can't afford to be here. We'll see about that. With that, we drifted to our designated spots, Helen casting me a scornful glance as I composed myself, determined to blend into the crowd. As the auction began, I locked eyes with Helen, defiance and triumph shining through. The room buzzed with anticipation, all eyes fixed on the stage where the prized house would soon be up for bid. Standing there, I felt a rush of adrenaline as the auctioneer started. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an exceptional property today, a stunning mid-century modern house with a rich history. Let the bidding begin. Playing my cards close to my chest, I discreetly leaked information about Helen's rumored embezzlement, casting doubt on the property's worth. Prospective buyers hesitated, wary of the risks involved. It was my moment to make a move. We have an opening bid of $310,000. Any higher offers? Silence hung in the air. Not a single paddle was raised. Why isn't anyone bidding more? This is my house, Helen exclaimed, frustration boiling over. It seems your secrets have finally caught up with you, Helen. No one wants to risk their money on a property with such questionable history, I replied, savoring her growing panic. Her face flushed with rage as she realized she was losing control. I saw a flicker of vulnerability beneath her previously confident facade. Carol, we need to talk. This isn't fair, Donald pleaded, stepping forward. Save your apologies, Donald. It's too late. You had 6 years to stand up for me and prioritize our happiness. Now it's my turn to take charge. And you, Helen, your reign of terror ends here. This house will symbolize my victory, a reminder that I won't be silenced or dismissed any longer. I raised my paddle, and the auctioneer called for bids at $420,000. No one responded. Okay, we'll stick with $310,000. he declared, going once, twice, and sold. In an instant, a house worth over $1 million was mine for just $310,000. I could hardly believe it. Disappointed attendees shuffled toward the exit, stunned by the unexpected turn of events, especially after hearing the rumors of embezzlement. Helen's expression twisted into a mixture of rage and disbelief. Desperate to regain control, she lashed out, insisting the house was worthless and claiming I'd soon regret my decision. I met her gaze calmly. Don't worry about me, Helen. I have plans, and this house is just a stepping stone toward a brighter future. Regrets are for those who've lost everything, much like you. With that, I turned away, leaving her seething in fury while Donald tried futilely to console her, a chaotic emotional storm playing out behind me. The taste of victory exceeded my wildest dreams. As I walked away, a wave of liberation washed over me, breaking the chains of manipulation that had held me for so long. Donald, filled with remorse and desperation, approached me, but I stood my ground, resolute against his empty promises. Donald, it's over. I refuse to be a pawn in this toxic game any longer. We're done. Once I settle into my new home, the divorce papers will be on their way. But where will we live? He asked, panic creeping into his voice. Your concerns should shift to the embezzlement allegations because, at this rate, both you and your mother might end up in jail. Carol, please think this through, he pleaded. It's too late. The deed is done. Enjoy your life, Donald, and tell your mother that anger doesn't suit her. In the background, Helen continued to scream, consumed by rage. I relished every moment. Despite her attempts to dismiss the embezzlement claims, her image had already been tarnished by her emotional outburst during the auction. People viewed her as unhinged, pushing them further away from her. With my head held high, I walked away from the crumbling remnants of my past. The confrontation had marked a pivotal turning point in my life. In that moment of newfound clarity and strength, I embraced the challenges ahead with unwavering resilience. While revenge had sparked my journey, it was the pursuit of self-empowerment and happiness that truly guided me forward. The aftermath of my revenge left an indelible mark on all our lives. As the highest bidder, I now owned Helen's house, the very place from which she had cast me out. Though this victory carried a hint of bitterness, it stood as a powerful symbol of my perseverance and resilience. I channeled my energy into building a new life, one where I held the reins of my destiny. I launched a modest business specializing in handmade crochet clothing, pouring creativity into every intricate stitch. Word spread quickly, and my venture flourished as the community warmly embraced my creations. Your unwavering love and support were instrumental in my business's success. With growth came new aspirations for additional properties, and the once dilapidated apartment that had housed Helen and Donald became a constant reminder of their downfall. They were ostracized in the community, their trust eroded. Despite Donald's occasional pleas for leniency on behalf of Helen, I remained steadfast. As Carol, I marveled at how everything had unraveled, a direct result of her mother's selfish and greedy actions. She should have defended me years ago. Standing up against her mother's transgressions, their lives spiraled downward in a cascade of consequences, crashing with an intensity that echoed the repercussions of their betrayal in every facet. They teetered on the brink of a trial that promised to expose their deceit, drawing unwanted attention. The weight of their actions pressed heavily upon them, leaving behind a lingering emptiness and growing frustration. Then one day, Helen herself reached out, having lost everything and pleading for help. The consequences of her choices had finally caught up with her. I made it clear that my true motivation was not merely revenge, but seeking justice and reclaiming my power. The community rallied behind me, offering support and admiration for my resilience, which attracted even more customers. Through this success, I discovered a deeper understanding of my strength and determination. The closure I had longed for was finally within reach. As I surveyed the properties I now owned, I realized that while revenge had propelled me forward, it was perseverance and resilience that brought genuine fulfillment. Although my past had shaped me, it no longer defined my identity. Each passing day allowed me to appreciate the beauty of my ongoing journey, gradually leaving the shadows of betrayal behind.